All right. Now call to order the February 6th meeting, Trails and Greenways. We're going to start with roll call. Mark, can we hear Mark, by the way?
Can you hear me?
Mark, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
We can barely hear
His
him.
volume is really low.
Let me see if I can fix it.
We can barely hear you. Just bear with
One
us
second.
one moment here. He's messing with the volume.
Mark,
Can you give us another test?
something you can do to speak closer to your mic?
Is this any better?
That's
There
much
you
better.
go.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll restart roll call. Anthony DiVincenzo, present.
Present.
Evan Pappas present.
Okay,
All right. Great. Please ask for a moment of silence. Everyone, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. All right, item 4, consider approving the agenda for today. I'll go on record saying I apologize because I did not get stuff tomorrow. I was truly sick and incapacitated when I needed to get it to her to meet the deadline. That did not happen. So thank her for kind of piecing this together for us. I apologize to everybody if it's not fully representative of some of the things that we had planned on having on today. But that being said, people looking through it, is there anything in particular, or do we have a motion to approve? Mark, moved by John Custer, second by Beth Dongisha. Okay, all those in favor of approving the agenda, say aye. Aye.
aye.
No opposed. Motion passes. Agenda is approved for today's meeting. Public comment for agenda items, and we actually have Terry here from the public. Do you have anything, Terry, that you'd like to mention from the agenda today? Yes. Yeah, how's that work now exactly? Yeah.
That's fine. Just when you do address, I want you to go up to the podium, so you'll be on the mic, please, because Mark can't hear you if you don't. And that's fine. You can recognize Terry when you get to the walks,
Sounds good.
and then you can do it at that time.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Terry. Excuse me. Okay, so now we're on to item 6, consider approving the minutes from the previous meeting from January 9th, which was our reorg meeting. Before we go to get a motion on that, Mark, did we, I know you were having some back and forth with Moore. Did we get that resolved beforehand?
We did, yes.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes from the January 9th reorganization meeting? I'll make a motion to approve. Do I hear a second? Okay, seconded by Beth Dongisha. All those in favor of approving the minutes from the previous meeting on January 9th, say aye.
Aye.
No opposed. Minutes are approved from our January 9th meeting. I guess, yeah, new business, nothing on there for right now. We've got some stuff that we had gotten updates from previous meetings on some of the more, I'll call it recent stuff. So moving on to some of the old business, which really it is new business, but it's a recurring thing. So we keep it in there, which is the discussion of trail walks and events. So I would like to acknowledge Terry and see if you can, we've had some back and forth communication, obviously some upcoming walks. Terry, if you could talk to us about what we're planning with this.
Great, thank you. So as far as I heard from the committee, you would like to do a 2:22 walk at Ridley Park, right? What time did you want to start that? And would you like me to load that on the meetup now or would you like to do it?
We were waiting to see if one of the rangers was going to accompany us on that and based the time on their availability. Beth, did you get a chance
I
to?
called last week. I didn't get a chance to stop in and I have not got a call back. I need to follow up again tomorrow with that.
Do you want to follow up before we set the time or
Um,
we don't have to set it tonight. If you want to follow up tomorrow, we can try to get it set.
yeah, I can try tomorrow, see what happens, but if we don't hear anything.
we don't
then
hear, we'll
move
just
ahead.
set it.
Yeah.
Why don't we, if we don't hear back, what time do you recommend, like 1 o'clock, something where it's not too cold, you know, the middle of the day?
Later in the day is better.
Yeah.
One is good.
All right, let's do 1 o'clock if we don't get a specific time from one of the rangers.
Sounds
Perfect.
good.
Okay.
Do you want to start near the, like, there's a parking lot called 17, I think, that has the, you know, the room for everybody to park there and then you get on the trail and are you just going to do the big loop?
So I actually brought the map today. That was one thing me and Evan wanted to do, is kind of look at the map and the trails to determine what trail and where to start. And
Good.
we were kind of going back and forth, like if the weather's bad, doing the paved road trail is going to be the best option. I mean, if there's snow or ice type of deal. But if not, possibly going off onto one of the more forested trails. So I will kind of touch base after that, after tonight. Or after tonight's meeting, I will spit it out to figure out what we want to do based on that. There's a couple parking lots kind of towards the back that are fairly good size that could handle a crowd of people. And like, I think it's the, say, the Blue Trail or that may come out of there. That's kind of a nice loop.
Yeah, 17 is kind of far from the mansion. I thought we wanted to start near there, but whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that we want to do this right now, but
Yeah, we can
yeah,
look at it
like
after, yeah.
15 and 14 are nice ones because there's bathrooms there and they're good size.
Okay,
You can hop on the Blue Trail or you can hop on the paved trail from that location too. So you have options depending on what the weather is looking like.
Okay.
And there's multiple links that you could do with that. So that would be my suggestion, but you know, I'm not going to be there for that one because I got work.
No,
So
that sounds
I'm open to whatever you got.
No, that, I mean, I think that makes sense. Bathrooms are always good because we don't know how long the actual walk's gonna take, and especially when people get back to the cars, that's always a positive thing, so.
Are they open?
That's a great question.
The restroom facilities?
Yeah, I would need to double check that one.
Because their
Um,
bathrooms at 17 too. There's a nice area too there.
Yeah, and so if the path I would suggest would actually take them past 17. So
Okay.
like that would be the halfway point. So then you should have, assuming they're open, and I know that's a big assumption, have bathrooms at either like the beginning and the middle of it if needed.
Yeah, whatever you guys want. Or if you want to start at the bottom of the hill down by the creek, you know.
And walk up the hill?
No, baby, no.
Nice thing about starting at the bottom is that you're downhill in the second half.
Yeah, yeah. That's a different parking lot. It's
Yeah.
kind of tiny.
Yeah,
All right, well then, yeah, then that's out then. We definitely, we want to make sure that we have enough room for,
So I
Proper
keep pushing 17 because 17 is at the top of that hill. So you get off on 17, you go left, you go right down that hill, and then you have the creek and everything. That's what, I don't know the others. I'm happy to go check them out prior to, but as long as we can figure it out in a day. let it
yeah, I don't think
slow
it'll
it
take
up.
long to make a final decision on it because I'd say we've got two really good options now, like 14, 15, like you're saying, or 17. So let's just try and figure out a final thing beforehand. And then let's set a hard date of when you're gonna actually do the post on the meetup so that we have internal. Is it tomorrow? Okay, well then there you go. All right, so we can talk after and lock that down.
How long do we propose to walk?
I'd say give it, when do you think, an hour and a half? Almost 2 hours.
I was gonna say, yeah, depending, it might be close to 2 hours, yeah.
Yeah, that's more or less 5 miles.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I
That's
think any
kinda
of the
long.
routes we're potentially looking at would be like 3 to 5 miles. So it'd fit into that,
Yeah.
that time range.
okay, so 2 hours, we should say, and we'll tell them, check the day before for weather.
yep.
Okay.
Works.
March 15th, the paper mill. Kathy has something I can't recall, the Historical Society's doing something, they would like a paper mill walk. And I'm thinking, we could start at the paper mill this time if we wanted and then go up into Skunk Hollow, or do you prefer the Willows for the parking and then go down?
I guess it really depends on the timing because they're doing something at Paper Mill, right?
Yeah, so they might have parking filled, but then
Well-
people start parking along Paper Mill Road and stuff, so.
Yeah, so that's what I was wondering, is like, it just really depends on the time and when they would like us to converge, either at the beginning or the end, or because otherwise it's in the middle of it. The other thing is depending upon whether if we're coming through the Willows into the Paper Mill, we might be a muddy mess, you never know, especially that time of year. So I would say that leans us towards the beginning of the event, parking there. But yeah, what, do you remember, Terry, how many people we had the last time we did the Paper
The
Mill?
paper mill last time was 35 or 40. We
That
had
was
a
a
good
decent
number.
size, so that's
Yeah,
where, that's the
yeah.
advantage of going in the Willows and parking up there.
Right, you can accommodate whatever. That got us lost.
Yeah, well, we've had good success
Yeah.
there, so why don't we stick with that same plan then, unless anybody else is opposed, stick with that and just start the
Good thing is the
Willows.
Willows will probably be open also,
Yes,
and they can go in. Okay, so the
All right.
Willows is the starting place on the Ides of March. Okay.
and what are we thinking then for time, same thing, are we talking like midday, 1 o'clock?
I'd expect Kathy to be good with us arriving about 1:30, so, because that's what she's usually said. So if we start at 1. that
1
looks-
PM at the Willows, setting off and then arriving there at Paper Mill somewhere within that time, yep,
Yeah,
okay.
I do not have an April yet, but I do have a May.
What was the one you sent to us just
That's
yesterday of
May.
April? Oh, I thought that was, oh, okay,
That's
that was
May
April.
10th at Garrett Williamson. It's Bird Migration Day. And so that'll be like an 8 AM one.
Okay.
That'll be with,
Mike,
Mike McGrath, yeah.
yep,
So I would like to just confirm that, but I don't know if you all know, I'm also helping Birdtown out now.
Yeah.
So I'm on the library board and Birdtown, so now you have those organizations.
and what
working
was
with-
that date again for Migration Day?
May 10th,
Thank you.
yeah.
Okay.
And if you have an idea for April, since we're on a roll.
April, I know I'm gonna be, at least I know I will not be very available in April. I've got a few events and trips and things already, I don't know, on my docket, but I don't know if there's anything else anyone else can think of in general.
How's the parking thing you were doing, and we had parking over at the
Meadows?
Meadows now or no? In April?
We do, but you're limited to about 8 spaces. So if you're trying to do a big group, we we could have a conversation with Episcopal Academy and park there if they would allow that. I don't know, but then, and you have easy entrance to the trail then from their location.
And based on what we were thinking timeline, the full build out of that bigger parking lot was not gonna be for several months more, correct?
Yeah, we're probably with the weather we're having right
Yeah.
now, we're not even trying
Yeah.
to do delineators in this kind of weather. We probably are going to wait till end of March, early April before we even start. And then we're probably 2 or 3 months after that before we even get to doing the paving at the park.
I would think maybe the Meadows too would be, might be a shame, because April, that might be actually very pretty with the wildflowers.
I was gonna say Drexel Lodge, maybe a good alternative. I know it's not a super long trail, but that's when like Jacob's Ladder and Spring Beauties and stuff should be blooming, so you could get some of those wildflowers on that one.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Beth.
Oh, I had suggested potentially Drexel Lodge. I know it's not a super long trail, but you get some of those woodland wildflowers that should be blooming around that time.
Yeah, we could even do 2 in April. Drexel Lodge is nice, it's easy.
Yeah.
And then figure out someplace else if we wanted to. Okay.
well, let's put that on there then, and then we could always revisit, next meeting if there's other ideas or things that pop up to throw in there. That works.
That sounds great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any other questions for Terry while we have her at the podium?
Terry, what do you think of, this is a little bit further, but what about, Haverford has extended the Penzie Trail. It's now about a mile. Total. So it'd be like, if we park at the Y and, be 2 miles, to the end and back. What do you think of checking that out?
Does that connect to their rec center?
Well, there's the YMCA and then it goes to the Township building where the stadium is. And then it keeps going a little more and then it's just a line. It's not a loop right?
Yeah, John, remember the building where we went for the trail summit?
Yeah.
I was wondering if
that's
that.
coming
Oh,
up
the
again.
No, it's not. You're thinking of the crack. Yeah.
Oh,
it's
okay, it's not that one.
It's not that one.
I was gonna say, because otherwise, not only would that be a good starting point, but it would be interesting for everybody else to see that.
That's,
It's a pretty
what?
cool
That's a
facility.
great place for a trail walk.
It is, that's why, I didn't know if it was the same one, but
No, this one is much more urban. This is like in at
Okay.
the heart. This is like along Darby Road. It's like behind Darby Road, kind
Okay.
of. But the crack, that's a good idea too. The crack. Yeah.
that place is just really cool, the way it's set up and everything, and, from being
Yeah.
there for
Yeah.
years in a row.
Yeah.
Very, very nice,
We also talked to you about Doug's Walk. We can call it something else that
Oh, yeah, his
might
weird
not be offensive.
what did he?
barn women walk or something.
What?
No. Yes, I don't know the Haverford one. That's be fun to explore,
Okay.
right? I don't know if that's what you're talking about, Haverford. It's not the college.
No.
No,
It's
it's
not.
Haverford Reserve. It's where the
Reserve.
Blue Route. Yeah, it comes through.
Okay,
The Craig Center is kind of their environmental.
Yes.
so would they let us in there? We could have a
Oh, yeah.
tour? Like we did with the Wayne Arts Center,
We'd think it would be open.
Yeah, it's open to the public.
called the Crack,
CRC,
Yeah.
See,
thank you.
yeah.
CREC, sorry.
Easy.
CREC. Okay, all right, I'll look it
Yeah,
up.
Haverford.
We'll go walk it
Rick-
before
Rick-
April and sounds nice.
Okay, thank
Very
you.
good, thank you.
Appreciate it.
As always.
All right, moving on to update on the E-Bike Subcommittee. We had sent the questions over, sir. Do we have any update from the township on those questions making it to that new system that you guys had talked
So the
about?
training for the new system is scheduled next week.
Okay.
And so hopefully after that, we are in a spot where we can start moving forward.
Okay, so, all right, so we'll keep that on our agenda to check in. Especially, Joe, I don't know if like when you were looking at all that stuff originally, but are there any trends on like the e-bikes, like when they sell and that kind of stuff? All right, meaning like, is there like a seasonal surge in people buying these things and using them based on the outdoor season, like that kind of stuff? Yeah, I was just curious. I didn't know if it was a big ticket item this year for Christmas with the prices of them and stuff like that. Okay. All right, sounds good. We'll follow up with that then. Update on the official town map, I guess. What are the next steps expected there, sir?
So I have submitted to the engineer the couple properties that we were trying to get added, that in addition to the ones that you had that were owned by the municipal authority. Again, the one of them was not pulling up on the county map, so it's kind of hard to get it to do what it needs to do. So I actually gave them the coordinates I gave the properties on either side of it so that they could pull it out
Okay,
and do that. So they're going to try to get that on. And then what the next step would be, once they get that done, hopefully they can get that done. this month, and then in the month of March, we would put it on the planning commission for review. It would go before them and then would go back to the board for approval after that. I do think if I recall right, because it's a zoning change, it does require 2 advertisements.
Yeah, I
So
remember
it
you
would-
mentioned that.
It would probably be the second meeting in April when the board could look at it.
Okay, good. So that's still on pretty much the same track and trajectory and schedule that you had mentioned previously. So that's good. Thank you. Okay, moving on to 8.4, update on the zoning subcommittee. I know, Evan, you wanted to kind of have this as a reoccurring check-in to make sure that we're following up on different discussions and points on that.
Yeah, did you send the report that Joe and I put together to everybody to review?
Actually, I don't know if I did. I can't remember. I'll have to check my sent.
Did anybody review the zoning report that Joe
No.
Kazuska and I put together?
So then, no, that's on me then, I don't think. The one from January 9th, correct? You sent it that same night, you resent it to me. Great,
So
no, that's
double
a-
check.
that's a
Yes,
screw up.
1/9, yeah.
All right, it's going to the rest of the group, I apologize. John, do you want this going to your Custer and Custer or your Verizon email?
Doesn't matter.
Problem. All right, it's going all to the remaining committee members. And we'll have to put it back on the agenda for March to view it at that time. If there's any comments that come through early, I guess, please feel free to forward them on anyways. And then that way, maybe there can actually be some updates done by Evan and Joe Kazuska in between that and next meeting possibly. If it's something simple, we could always do that, right? And then just touch base at that time.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should all discuss if these are the recommendations we want to send to supervisors. I know, typos, I'm just.
No, not that
Like,
stuff.
yeah.
No.
Yeah,
But just maybe if there's some questions that people have ahead of the meeting that would just be simple to answer ahead of
yeah.
time. That way they come back to the next meeting and maybe it's not as big of a, maybe it's more of a formality at that point to review and vote on.
okay.
But, okay. All right. Okay. Moving on then to, sorry, get back to my other screen. We already talked about the Newtown Meadows Preserve Lot parking update, so we kind of touched on that based on the conversation, right, Terry? So thank you. So we're good there. We move on then. And again, the last one is just that monthly review of looking at the overall plan and kind of the phases that we're in. You know, one of the things I would ask, I guess, and see is, you know, number 4, conducting outreach with landowners and stuff like that, is the only stuff that we've had in the recent history was like the stuff with Lister, HOA, where there were some conversations that were happening there that originally Aaron was involved with you, I believe, with some of those meetings that are going on, but we really haven't done any additional, you know, public outreach beyond, right? We know we have this survey going out at some point soon from that's technically a part of the public outreach and landowner and homeowner type stuff. We had the feasibility study, Joe, that technically there was, I guess, some people from the public that were part of the committees in there. It wasn't wide outreach, but there
Yeah,
was some members.
If I could just bring one status on that, Steve, it looks like it's still up on the website. Is that still just pending, or is that Rails to Trails feasibility study done?
We probably need to go ahead and pull it down. Right now, I don't think there's any place to go forward. The funding we returned. So I would say that at this point, we probably should pull it down. I'll make note.
No, thanks for catching, yeah. Beth, you wanna?
Yeah, so I just found something recently on the internet that may be helpful when we start talking to landowners at some point, that may be a little bit hesitant to allow recreation in, an easement on their property. Apparently, there is a law or Pennsylvania Recreational Use of Land and Water Act removes liability from landowners who open their land to recreational use free of charge. So there is a state law that would protect people, and I think being aware of that could help be a talking point if and when we are in position to talk to folks, whether it's the access trail coming into the Meadow Preserve or the Pico Trail or whatever, but something to have in our back pocket.
And that law would help them with liability.
It
Yeah.
says that there
I'm
removes
familiar with that.
liability from the landowners, so.
So, and one of the conversations that I got to have recently with Nicole DeBaton Robinson, she was, I got to meet with her, kind of just talk informally about some of the stuff that she had known that we were interested in, and we said that we would set up something more in the future when we got a little bit further down the line on some of the plans, but that was one of the things she brought up. Like, she was kind of questioning, like, well, what are the type of things that we can put in place to protect their corporation essentially that owns a lot of land, and a lot of them are on spots where we want to put trails and stuff like that, specifically the stuff around Alice Grimm there and the Veterans Memorial. And I told her, again, not that specific, but I do remember Mr. Neese, you and I having conversations previously about there are ways to remove that liability from them so that they're not worried about trip and fall, which is the most common insurance type claims that go after them, and landowners and stuff like that. So that's good to know, actually. There's a Pennsylvania state law that's, this isn't just also locked in with a township agreement or something. There's an overarching state law, which is positive. So that could be something that I can even follow up with her on to see if that progresses those
Will
conversations.
you be meeting with her soon?
No, nothing scheduled right now. I
Okay.
met with her informally, just kind of had breakfast and just
Yeah,
wanted
that's good.
to, just start the relationship with somebody that is heavily involved and really does generally want to see some positive movement
Good.
on our end.
Good.
And she wants to be a part of it. She just wants to make sure that they're protected in how they're doing it.
Yes. I'd be glad to meet with
Yeah.
you if you'd like.
Yeah, she was really nice to talk to. I got to meet her at another event
Yeah.
a couple years ago, and it was great. So
I-
that was kind of the first step. Again, I didn't want to be over salesy, and I just wanted to kind of start the relationship.
I've had a good relationship with her father, so.
Yeah, we talked about you. We talked about her father a little bit. I didn't know enough. I didn't know enough stories, so all I said was that John had prepared me and told me so much about her father, and just, it was good. But anyway, so as far as the public outreach, we have a couple different areas. The whole social media thing is kind of honestly fallen to the wayside, but that link that you were just pulled up that has that always could be something that we pass through the township and maybe get another post up there. I think it may be positive to do it when maybe strategic placement of that, when the official town map maybe goes in front of the planning commission or in front of the board at those upcoming meetings that you're discussing, because then it's very appropriate at the time to be able to show that kind of stuff, because you might get some residents that are interested. You might get some interested or concerned residents or something at that time. So that could be something of good timing maybe. So I would say maybe that's something we think about, is doing an official post that gives that type of really good and clear information out on that law right around the timing of when it hits the planning commission or the board of supervisors.
Now, this will be going to the county planning as well, right?
That's correct. It goes through the whole planning process, just like any zoning amendment would go through.
So then it's an even bigger audience in general, with
Yeah.
the county at that point, so more visibility. Oh, that's a good point.
Terry, if I can get you to go back to the mic, please.
Get up there.
Terry, we got to get you a Madonna style microphone to go and shut, that's all.
So I'm your committee person at large. May I have a copy of that to send to Garrett Williamson?
It's a screenshot, so I can just
Oh.
text it to.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, good point, because there are, in the network plan, there are trails that we'd like along the perimeter of Garrett Williamson, and that was always one of their concerns. Okay, off of that, to the public comment. Terry, do you have anything else? No?
You're the
Okay.
public.
Thank you. Number 10, do we have anything additional board comment? This again would be, things where we want to make sure that we follow up on certain items, things get in other meetings, or anything else that any of the board members would like to bring up at this time. Put that back
Reached
on.
out to me, a quote from somebody, I'm working on a quote from somebody else, so we have some movement.
Okay, so possibly you might have a quote by next meeting, we could talk about.
We have one for sure. I'm hoping to have one or two.
Okay,
How that goes.
okay,
And George was talking about looking at Eagle Scout and their Boy Scout projects and seeing if like some of the Meadow Trail signage stuff could kind of fall underneath that. So that was a discussion.
okay,
Maybe some follow-up on that.
okay. So then, we'll get that on next month's agenda. Any other comment from our board?
Yeah, where do we stand on the trail that would go from the Meadow Preserve up Goshen Road? Is that on hold or are we waiting for something on that?
That trail is going to require the HOA from Lissitor to come into an agreement. And the last conversation I had with them, and it's been probably a year and a half, they did not feel that that was something that they would even be willing to put before their group because of the number of people it required to agree to it. And so it kind of died with that.
Was that for both options? I mean, the one through the woods and also the one through Echo Valley?
Well, the one that goes through the woods, for sure. The second one is the one I believe if I recall what you're talking about, is the one that comes out on, is it Foxtail Lane or something like that into Echo Valley? Is that the one you're thinking? Yeah.
That was the one I know that the one resident I met her had really put a stink on because his property was adjoining
Yeah,
at that little kind of dead end spot where the fence was, right?
yes.
Yeah.
But I understand he might have come around a little.
Okay. Well, we can revisit it, but it hasn't been visited since the last time we had conversation.
Wasn't that what Erin was involved?
That was
with?
what Aaron was involved in.
Yeah, so, okay, so then I guess the question then, sir, is there any way of re-engaging their HOA or some of those people that were
Well, I
involved?
mean, I have conversation with the HOA pretty regularly.
Okay.
The last conversation, like I said, I had, they had no desire to even put it before their full HOA at this
You said it
point.
was because of the number of votes that were required or something?
I think they require 2/3 majority, and the way it's written is it requires 2/3 majority of the potential voting members. So it's not 2/3 of those who vote. It's 2/3 of those who could vote.
So they mean they
And-
have to get a
And
certain,
they said, the comment was made, I don't think we'll ever get that many people to vote because when we've had other voting situations that don't require that, they can't get that number of people to
so it's
vote.
almost like set up to purposely have us.
Huh?
They should amend the bylaw.
Which requires a 2/3 vote. And I may be wrong on the number, but I know it was something that they said they just, It was bigger than they wanted to take on.
Okay, so it's not something that we just want to give up on just because, but maybe we at least acknowledge that it is going to be a bigger lift than we initially thought. So maybe this is something we put on our long-term goals of figuring out a plan, because the only way you're going to get then that many people to vote. It's not possible, it's just improbable, but the only way you would have to do that, we would almost have to create a event specific to engage every one of their residents and almost create like a block party within Lister with kind of the workings of their board, and create a whole event that would be the largest Lister trail walk that connects to the adjoining trails, and try to show them some of the positivity of it. That being said, I know that's not a small undertaking. That's why I'm saying it's more of a long-term goal, but we don't want to give up on it just because it's very difficult to do. It just maybe becomes harder and a longer play. Does anybody else have any thought on that, or am I completely crazy?
I think that board is a work in progress and people go on and off frequently.
Well,
so
that's most
it might be
HOAs
good
is
to
my
check back.
understanding. Yeah. But that does sound like their bylaws are almost set up to have no change, almost on purpose. Like set up where it would be such a huge lift that it would require such public movement within their community that's the only way to make it happen, so. Okay.
One other thing, Terry, you were working on a project before you left to go up the hill behind the house up, remember? Okay. I gotta give you a little bit more to go on, don't I? Well, the worker's house. And you went across the street and we went up the hill to talk to the whoever the outfit is that owned that land behind there. You talked to with someone else. Yeah, yeah.
Terry, again, I'll ask you to go back to the mic, please.
I just sit here. Waterloo is part of the Brandywine Conservancy, and that's what we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. I sent a letter to the president of Waterloo's, of the Brandywine Conservancy, which also has the famous artist, what's his name? You know, the guy out in Chad's Ford. The guy
I don't think Da Vinci
that
ever
did the
lived.
pig.
See,
and did
now
the
you're
cro-
forgetting.
Yeah, well,
Not
I'm
just
on the
me.
spotlight here. So the upshot is I've talked to multiple people at the Brandywine Museum and at Waterloo, and nobody has moved 1 inch on having a walk through Waterloo over to the paper mill and up to the Willows. That's what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
I
I
mean,
can
that could be a
revisit that.
continuation of that trail all the way up to Waterloo.
Yeah.
They don't even want to have a walk through there?
Well, none of them talk to each other.
Ah,
So it's more a function of, all right, you got to send multiple letters to multiple people, because now I find out that they,
Yeah.
they're not talking.
Correct.
And-
The Wyeth Museum.
Yeah.
Wyeth Museum, and then the Laurels Preserve is part of it, and Waterloo, and I'm blanking on the fourth. They're all part of the Brandywine Conservancy.
Mhm.
So they don't, interact the way.
Well, maybe we should take it in increments. I mean, if we could get that trail in that goes all the way up to Waterloo and then stops, that would be in addition to the trail that we have now.
I'm happy to work on that. Yeah, but it's just, I should sit
It's an
down with
opening on the
you.
board.
I'm not, what?
Kidding.
Sorry, got to get on another board. I think we can talk about that, and I'll certainly draft more letters. That
Mhm.
sounds good.
So maybe the idea would be to go to Brandywine Conservancy and just sort of limit what we want to do initially.
Yes, that's what I offered, that it would be I listed all of the benefits of working with the Historical Society, because you know, they've got the paper mill house there and that it was a historic trail that was part of the Underground Railroad, they think. It went up through the Waterloo to the paper mill.
Yeah, I
So
know
it's-
they don't like people walking through there initially, at least when I had a conversation.
Mm,
But I think if we do it incrementally and they see how much fun everybody's having on the trail, they might
Yeah.
want to participate.
Yeah, it's just a private organization. You have to give them $100 or something a year to be allowed to walk there.
Mhm.
So I do that. But this would be a specific event
Okay,
to start it off.
If anything, it might, I mean, we could almost sell to them as a way of boosting their quote unquote membership. essentially.
Exactly, exactly. The problem was, I remember what we're talking about now. The problem was when you walk in there, one of the people told me that these are extremely wealthy people who live in there and they're up on the hill. And when you walk that trail, they see you. And some of those houses are empty, but they're all massive and that they have security on the premises and they kind of don't like intrusion because, so you'd have to clear it with all those people who border the Waterloo Preserve.
Even if it doesn't
Or-
touch their property, they have no rights to it, correct?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just more influence, you're saying.
I think it's influence. Yeah, I think
Okay.
you're right. Yeah. But there's always ways to work around things, make it sound great. And send them that tax thing. I mean, the thing you just found, Beth just found.
Well, yeah, if they don't own the land, then it's not about that. Then like you said, it's just that they just don't want. They just don't want-
Strangers there. It's on, what's the road that, you turn, it's Waterloo Road. If you go down, you know how you're going to Aronimink, you go down Newtown Road and you go around that little circle.
You're going down Town Street Road and where they were doing that construction not too long ago, and it drops down, you would take a hard right, and that would take you towards like Devon and up that way.
Yeah.
And there's some pretty nice houses along that section. There's some like plantation style houses and different things.
Mhm. It's
But
called
that ultimately
Waterloo.
pops you out towards Lancaster Ave and Devon when you keep going.
Yeah, but it's like only maybe a mile and a half, 2 miles up, Joe, on the right.
Yeah, it's
There's an
pretty close.
entrance there, and then you park in there, and then you can walk around. But eventually a security guy will come out and find you and make sure you're allowed to be in there. So it's, you know,
Yeah, no, I understand,
but it's our next door neighbors, so.
Yeah.
And I thought that the township owned some of that land in there, didn't they? Didn't you guys own some in there?
We own some land, but I don't think it's right there. I
No.
think it's further to the south.
The south, yeah.
mostly along the creek.
Yeah, I know what
Right.
you're talking about. It's
I,
further
I know
south.
what you're talking about, but I don't think we own on that side.
Not on that side.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any progress in talking with SAP?
I don't think any conversations have been had with them probably in the last 6 months. They've gone pretty quiet.
Really? Oh, because I thought, yeah, Leonard was having something at some point, but I guess it
Well,
was
if
that long
Leonard's
ago.
having conversations, I don't know about.
No, but I mean, I guess it was that long ago now. I think I
Yeah.
just may have lost track of time.
Yeah.
Being that it's February already. Yeah. It's been an interesting year. I haven't touched base with Leonard actually in a few months, but I'm due to, so I could always reach out and find out where it was left at that point. I actually I have some contacts over at SAP now for not fun reasons professionally, because we use one of their systems and it's not good. So, but I don't know, maybe I'll poke around a little bit. There was actually a guy that works for SAP, who lives in the township, who was interested in our kind of movement agenda and really interested in that Goshen Trail, then connecting through their property all the way down to Boot Road a while back. And I think I have his name and number from a sign up that we did a while back. He's got several, like 3 or 4 young boys that had come on a walk with us, and they came, remember they met with you and I at the farmer's market. I gotta find his name. I want to say it was Mark. I think I have it somewhere, so I could always also just kind of poke around a little bit and talk with him. But he was a nice guy. He was interested for sure. Okay. He was the guy that I wanted to show up to our board meetings when the official town map comes up, because that's what he and I were originally talking about. Okay. Okay, John, any?
That's it.
Joe, Beth, anybody? Mark, do you have anything, sir? We apologize if we're ignoring you.
Nope, I'm good.
All right, hearing no additional board comment, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motioned by Beth, seconded by John. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No opposed. We are.